Hi stamping friends. Yesterday I made this really fun sampler to hang on our wall for Christmas. I recently moved and we gave away all of our Christmas stuff back in Texas, so I needed to redo my Christmas theme. And I wanted to share really quickly some tips on how I put this together. First of all, I want to show you my inspiration, okay? My husband and I went looking for some Christmas ornaments and what colors did we want to go with. And we decided that we wanted more of an old-fashioned style of Christmas. So if you look at these colors, we've got cherry cobbler, we've got very vanilla, we've got garden green, so ta-da, and then there's even some browns in there, more like an early espresso. So that was my inspiration for making this. I'm going to move this out of the way so that I can show you just a few tips on how I put it together. All right. First of all, we have some stamping to do, and I cut some little squares out of Very Vanilla, and I knew that I needed my stamps to be stamped this way. The stamp set that I used is the Project Life Holiday Cheer. Holiday Cheer, little Christmas tree, baby it's cold outside. There's some mittens, there's some mistletoe, snowflakes. This is really a fun set. It had a lot of stamps in here that I could use that were just the perfect size for my sampler. There's a little stocking, be joyful. So anyway, that's the stamp set that I used. And so I stamped my mittens on one. I stamped Holiday Cheer, and I'm using cherry cobbler. Okay. Then I stamped my little green Christmas tree with garden green. And baby, it's cold outside with early espresso. Now, when I did the little mittens, I decided, need something else. So there was a really fun stitched looking long stamp in this set, and it kind of reminded me of the stitching that you see on gloves. So I have that, and I used garden green, and I just stamped a few little stitches around my little mittens. Okay, so there you see that. All right, so that's all the stamping that I did, except I did do the stamping. I wanted more of a, what do you call it? Title, I guess, for my sampler. So I did use Christmas Bliss, and you could pick any stamp you wanted, or you wouldn't have to. Now, how I got started was Stampin' Up! Has My Digital Studio, and I created these blocks using the digital punch, and then I colored them in. And at first I didn't color them in, but I went ahead and colored them in with cherry cobbler, early espresso, and the what is that one? I don't know. I think I did creamy caramel, which is an old color. But I wanted a color base just in case you could see around my little squares that I did. So you wouldn't have to do a sampler like that, but it was a great way to have a guide. Okay, so how I started was I used the really pretty Designer Series paper from Under the Tree. Look, there's all the colors from my ornament that I bought. So you just take a 2.5 inch circle punch, and you punch out however many circles you need out of an assortment of paper to fill up all of your sampler. Now, some of them you may want to leave blank to just put buttons on like I did. And I'm going to have some close-up shots at the end of this video so you can kind of see what each of my little squares looks like. But some of them you may want to leave just with the color on there, okay? And the Christmas time, favorite time, I actually did on my Digital Studio, but you could easily just stamp something on there if you wanted to. So you just kind of count how many squares you need or how many circles you need to punch out. And I I'm just going to use this piece of paper. I used an offset color so that it would show up on the video. I just cut a piece that was 1.5 by 1.5. My circle is 2.5. And so then you just take the take the square and fold over. You could take this to a scoring tool such as the Simply Scored, but I found that it was a little bit harder to do it that way, more time consuming. And I just punched out all these squares, or all these circles, I don't know why I keep saying that, and just kind of sat down and folded them all around and everything. So it was just easier to do. So then you have this little pocket that's got little sides on it and stuff, okay? And I actually got inspired to do this off of a sampler that I saw last spring that they did it with fabric, okay? Now, you could fold these all the way over and have your paper just down like that, but I liked having this little 3D effect with my sampler, so I liked keeping it just like this. Now, inside of those, I used buttons. These are the natural buttons from Stampin' Up. I used the antique brads. You could pick any of those. So just whatever you have, you could use to decorate. Some of the other things that I used was the gold sequin ribbon from Stampin' Up. I used the seam binding in the cherry cobbler. I used the, which ribbon is this? This is the taffeta ribbon in early espresso. Okay, you could just tie some knots, you can run it through the buttons, just whatever you want to do to decorate yours. Another trim that I used was the gold baker's twine. That went through my buttons really well and gave it some, you just want to decorate. Some of the key things that you're going to need though, if you're going to make one of these, are glue dots. And I put glue dots on the back of my little squares because it's a strong adhesive and you don't want this to fall apart. Remember, this is going to be hanging on my wall. Oops, I got one on my fingernail. This is going to be hanging on my wall. So I just put, I don't know, I think I put like 3 on the back of each one. You could use sticky strip if you wanted to, but you just want a good strong adhesive to make sure that these don't fall off as it's hanging on the wall. Now, if you noticed, I had some glimmer paper. I took and used the Framelits from Stampin' Up, and I cut out some stars, and those just fit perfectly, whoops, sorry, those just fit perfectly inside of my little, what do I call these? Little pockets, little, I don't know, my little window boxes. We'll call them window boxes. So see how that star just fits in there? So fun. Okay, so these are the Framelits that I used, and I used the smaller one. You could, use some of the larger ones and have them around the sampler if you wanted to. I mean, this project has so many fun ideas that you could do with it. Another thing I did was I used the smaller star from Stampin' Up in the itty bitty packs, and I just went in and punched out some stars like that, and I have stuck those on also with glue dots. Now on my buttons or any other on your stars, you could use dimensionals, okay? That would also give your sampler some height, okay? So when I put this sampler together, I was just looking for texture and dimension, and it was really, really a fun thing to do. And I had so many people ask me if I would share the tips on it, and I'm happy to do that. So I hope this helps you. I encourage you to do something similar, and if I can help you in any way, please don't hesitate to let me know. Thank you for stopping by.